Let's start with the commander herself. Shelob, Child of Ungoliant, costs 6 to cast. She's a legendary creature, Spider Demon. She has Death Touch and Ward 2. Other spiders you control have Death Touch and Ward 2. Whenever a creature dealt damage this turn by a spider you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature except it's a food artifact with pay 2 and tap, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life and it loses all other card types. So let's continue with the problem child of this deck. It's all the spiders, unfortunately. This is a spider tribal deck, but I'm running in the same issue that I was running into when I had my monk deck, which is the creatures are just not that good. Arasta of the Endless Web costs 4 to cast. She's a legendary enchantment creature spider with reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or a sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Mirkwood Spider costs 1 to cast. It has Death Touch, and whenever it attacks, target legendary creature you control gains Death Touch until the end of turn. Watcher in the Web costs 5 to cast. It has Reach, and it can block an additional 7 creatures each combat. Rot Widow Pack costs 4 to cast. It has Reach. If you tap 5, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a 1/2 spider creature token with Reach, then each opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. Drider costs 5 to cast. It has Reach. It's an elf spider. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a 2/1 black spider creature token with Menace and Reach. Chainweb Arachneer costs 1 to cast. It has Reach, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature with flying an opponent controls. Escape for 5. Exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, and Chainweb escapes with 3/1/1 counters on it. Obelisk Spider costs 3 to cast. It has Reach. Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, put a -1/-1 counter on that creature. Whenever you put 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Silklash Spider costs 5 to cast. It may block as though it had flying. If you tap X and 2 green, it deals X damage to each creature with flying. Hatchery Spider costs 7 to cast. It has Reach. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Broodweaver costs 4 to cast. It has Reach, and when it dies, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with Reach. Skyfisher Spider costs 4 to cast. It has Reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, destroy target non-land permanent. When it dies, you may gain 1 life for each creature card in your graveyard. If you do, exile this card from your graveyard. Snare Spinner costs 2 to cast. It has Reach, and when it blocks a creature with flying, it gains +2/+0 until the end of turn. Hoarding Recluse costs 4 to cast. It has Reach and Death Touch. When it dies, put up to 1 target card from your graveyard on the bottom of their owner's library. Penumbra Spider costs 4 to cast. It has Reach, and when it dies, create a 2/4 black spider creature token with Reach. Llanowar Greenweaver costs 3 to cast. It has Reach and Trample. For 7/+1 green, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and it gains if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. Sporeweb Weaver costs 3 to cast. It has Reach and Hexproof from blue. When it's dealt damage, you gain 1 life and you create a 1/1 green Sporling creature token. Nyx Weaver costs 3 to cast. It has Reach. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. If you tap 3, exile Nyx Weaver and return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Sweet Gum Recluse costs 6 to cast. It has Flash, Cascade, and Reach. When it enters the battlefield, put 3/1/1 counters on each of any number of target creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. Twin Silk Spider costs 3 to cast. It has Reach, and when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with Reach. And now for the non-spiders. Adaptive Automation costs 3 to cast. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. I usually choose spiders. Adaptive Automation is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Jaheira, Friend of the Forest, costs 3 to cast. It's a legendary creature, human elf druid. It makes my tokens be able to tap for 1 green, and you can choose a background. And last but certainly not least, Finn the Fangbearer costs 2 to cast. He's a legendary creature, human warrior with Death Touch. He synergizes probably the best with Shelob because she gives all of your other spiders Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. Now let's go through the enchantments. I definitely need some card draw in this deck, so I put Phyrexian Arena in here. It costs 3 to cast. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Call of the Ring costs 2 to cast. At the beginning of your upkeep, the ring tempts you. Whenever you choose a creature as your ring bearer, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. And finally, one of my favorite ones for this deck, Lure costs 3 to cast. Enchant a creature. All creatures able to block enchant a creature do so. If you enchant a creature with Death Touch, all creatures will die because they must block this creature. There are 2 planeswalkers in this deck. The first one is Vraska the Unseen. She costs 5 to cast. She is a legendary planeswalker, +1. Until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. -3, destroy target non-land permanent. -7, create 3 1/1 black assassin creature tokens with, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. The second legendary planeswalker is Lolth Spider Queen. She costs 5 to cast. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a loyalty counter on the Spider Queen. For 0, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. -3, create 2 2/1 black spider creature tokens with menace and reach. -8, you get an emblem with, whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage by 1 or more creatures you control, if that player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. Aside from your normal Soul Ring, here are the other artifacts I used in this deck. Sword of Vengeance costs 3 to cast. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, equipped 3. I decided to try to Voltron Shelob a little bit just because the other spiders kind of suck, so you're going to see a few of those cards here. Haunted Cloak costs 3 to cast. Equipped creature has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, equip 1. Commander's Sphere costs 3 to cast. You can tap it for 1 mana of any color. Lightning Greaves costs 2 to cast. Equipped creature has Haste and Shroud. Whisper Silk Cloak costs 3 to cast. Equipped creature can't be blocked and has Shroud. Basically with the last 2, I'm trying to protect my commander. Arcane Signet costs 2 to cast. You can tap it for 1 mana of any color. Blackblade Reforge costs 2 to cast. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Equip legendary creature for 3 and equip regular creature for 7. Viridian Longbow costs 1 to cast. You can equip creature for 3 and you can tap it to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Shelob herself costs a lot to cast, and this deck supports green, so naturally I had to put a lot of land ramp in here. Vastwood Surge, Explosive Vegetation, Adventurous Impulse, Many Partings, Cultivate, and Rampant Growth. Ent's Fury costs 2 to cast. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control if its power is 4 or greater. Then that creature gets +1/+1 until the end of turn and fights target creature you don't control. Spider Spawning costs 5 to cast. Create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach for each creature card in your graveyard. You can flashback it for 7. Nature's Way costs 2 to cast. Target creature you control gains Vigilance and Trample until the end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Time to Feed costs 3 to cast. Choose target creature an opponent controls. When that creature dies this turn, you gain 3 life. Target creature you control fights target creature. Most of the time, the defense in this deck is absolutely abysmal, so I decided to put 5 different fogs to help me out with anyone attacking me. That's probably too many, but here they are. I have Fog, Terrifying Presence, Defend the Herd, Fog Patch, and Arachnogenesis. Beast Within costs 3 to cast. Destroy target permanent its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Grisly Salvage costs 2 to cast. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or a land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. Blood Scent costs 4 to cast. All creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. There are a few spiders in this deck with a death trigger, so usually I'll swing with everything and I will Blood Scent exclusively one of those spiders or a token. Cosmic Hunger costs 2 to cast. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature, planeswalker, or battle. Bite Down costs 2 to cast. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Shelob's Ambush costs 1 to cast. Target creature gets +1/+2 and gains Death Touch until the end of turn. Create a food token. Raise the Dragor costs 2 to cast. Choose one, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or return 2 target creature cards that share a creature type from your graveyard to your hand. And last but not least, Heroic Intervention costs 2 to cast. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. Every other available slot is taken up by a land. And here are the rest of the sorceries. Rabid Bite costs 2 to cast. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Undercity Uprising costs 4 to cast. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until the end of turn. Then target creature you control fights target creature you don't control.